And I just wanted to point out something here that the price touched this support, sideways support, and up here inside of this channel. It's going up, up, up. But here's the thing: is when it taps down here, you want to put in for a buy, and when it goes, we want it to go to the next line here, and right here I would close out profit, even though it's going up. I would close out profit. But what happens here when we entered and it went up halfway only? You see, this is the trail our stop loss incrementally as the price rises on this candle. We take profit here, or we stay in profit here. It goes more, so we move our profit line up to here, our stop loss. As it goes up more, we move our stop loss to here. But when it starts coming back down, you know, you got two options. You could move your stop loss back to here, and if it comes back and hits your stop loss at entry, you don't lose anything. So you moved up, pretty much put the price in. We want it to go to this line, but if it comes up to here, you could let it just drop back and hit your stop loss line that you moved up, and you would be in profit halfway what you were anticipating with this line up here, this support zone. You would be halfway in profit, and then we would wait till it comes back down to touch the line again. But if you took your profit halfway here, that means your capital gains are that and a half of what you originally started with. So now you have a bigger amount to invest on the ratio. Um, and so that's the plan. Well, this is trending and this is gold. So we would enter here and look what it did. It made it all the way up again to this trend line, uh, which would be quadruple the price that would have been. Now, what would happen though if it comes back down here to a retest and we put in another buy to go back up? Well, guess what? It broke past the channel and it touched down past the lowest low, which means at this point, I believe that this whole uptrend can be on its way over. Or at this point, if it breaks past the line like it did, you see this long line here? See how the price dropped hard? And by the way, this long drop candle is a news candle. These little tiny candles are people like you and me and small businesses trading, doing business. But banks and the big boys, Wall Street, these are the giant one-shot slam candle Goliaths come from. And what did it do? It broke the channel. So yeah, think about that. You got all these little lines here, which is people like me and you trading in the world. But these non-break, solid, huge candles are financial institutions or government, something huge, war. So now that you saw that the institutional candle broke out of the channel, the institutional candle broke out of the channel. I thought I guessed that right. You got your support and resistance lines here. Now that it's out of the channel, we could expect for it to start going sideways, and it may even be going on down. This is a good indicator that the channel is broken and the profit potential is gone. You made your money. Stop, pull out, wait for a next entry point, a good one. And so back on oil, I'm actually not going to move these lines, and we'll see. We'll see tomorrow with my prediction and how price acts, what it did. So this is the 1 hour uh, chart, which means each one. Let's go over to the 4 hour chart because come the next week, here's the plan. If I was making oil, is I just lessened our chart, made it smaller, and moved to 4 hour. This is what I would do. Since right here, oil broke our last highest high, right here, the last highest high, it has clean traffic. It has clean traffic to come all the way up here to the last highest high before that because it broke through. You understand? It unlocked this next price range. That's just how price works. If it breaks through the channel a little bit, it goes all the way to test the last highest high or last lowest low, which would be lower than here. The last lowest low showing right here. Like if it was to just crash and sell, it would drop to here most likely. But the idea is since it broke past this lower high and it's making its way up, I would wait till it touches here again, and then I would look at the lower time frames, I'm sorry, the higher time frames to see what direction oil is going as a whole. Man, this thing is slow. So your next entry point for oil, well, it would be, remember this is the weekly chart now, so it has plenty of room to come back up to here. And since, well, it's kind of flat looking, but if I was to enter, it would be definitely, it would definitely be a re-entry right here because look, it would be what you call a swing trade. It would touch this zone and then, oh, I need a bastard. It would touch this zone, make its way up, and then most likely, because in the latest trend is one, two, three times, and even on the last time, come on down, you. Even last time it hit that area, it peaked and crashed. See that? It peaked. Not only did it peak, you think oil's making its way up, which it did weeks ago, and then it just went wow. Like that was an institutional candle. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Those Goliaths. That's the news. This right here, this squiggly consolidation, that's day trading, that's companies, businesses, normal people. This is an institutional candle. So since it's back up on bullish upward trend, I would say that it would come down to retrace to here, back to this area, this price range to test it before going back up. So you got all this traffic back down to make sales all the way from here back down to here. And it might even test here, but I would pull profit out here just to be safe and test this area. There's a way to test it if it's going to go back up or not, but that's another issue on the 1 minute and 5 minute time frames. So back to the shares with Zion. On Zion, what the sentiment is as a whole, like if you're talking to any business insider talking about, hey, what about Zion Oil Company, Zion Oil and Gas? The sentiment is this: is they're a company that when they first started up, they weren't actually drilling. They were an endeavor company, like looking for lands to drill to, and people bought into that. And then they started drilling. I guess they made a little bit of money, but then since a few years ago, like we saw earlier on the chart, it crashed. Latest news on Zion Energy in Israel. They have a new program going on, new unit program extended until January 31st. Maybe that has something to do with what you were talking about, with they're starting to drill somewhere else. Zion Oil and Gas stock price. Well, if you're looking at the news, like right here, this oil company wants your money, your prayers, your this, that. Is an oil and gas company that drills exclusively to people in Israel. It's almost like they're selling you the sentiment that hey, it's the Bible, it's oil, it's holy ground, and there is oil in Israel, um, but they just have yet to prove anything. And going back to that chart, like I showed you, you're going to have a hard time. I mean, if they strike oil and they start gaining ground and getting an upwards momentum, I could see that. But for you to get past the original price that you bought in at, that's a different story, and that could take years. And so, just being that look update on the SEC investigation of Zion Oil and Gas, it concludes investigation they were under investigation for the SEC for something, the SEC, um, and just so being under investigation, that adds to the sentiment of buyers of why they could be kicked down and staying down. Just not because of the numbers themselves are not striking oil, but they were even under investigation for some things, that false and malicious rumors were being spread by short sellers. That could be true, could be false, but with all that negative hype in the air, doesn't help. So my idea is, why don't we take what we have in hand, as in, um, I'm talking about this GDP, gross domestic product, meeting coming on, and that happened today, and man, this thing is going so slow. And so, like I said earlier, what we know, what we have in hand, the numbers we could actually look at on insider level, because instead of guessing and gambling, we're not trying to gamble, we're trying to move with the flow of the commodity. And how do we know that? Well, right here, Advanced GDP Price Index, Advanced GDP QQ. That's gross domestic product news. That was yesterday, today at 8:30 a.m. with positive numbers, which means gold is going down in the short term. So we had this big federal meeting this morning, and so here the next day or two, all these banks are going to be doing their thing and all these big institutions. I'm just trying to show you what we have in hand when it comes to gold, you know. And there's also war. Remember October 3rd? October 3rd, Israel was hit by Hamas, right? And so happened. See, gold was at 1937 a troy ounce, and right after the war stuff started, look at between here and here, the candle spiked all the way up to all-time highs. You see this blue line? Gold has never seen $2,160 an ounce. Yeah. Yes, Mom. And so, we hit this all-time high, and immediately, people don't know how to deal with that area. And gold tried to go back up again, came back down, and is retesting. And I anticipate it, mind you, these are the weekly candles. You see my lines here? I see it coming down, like right here. You see this support zone? It come up past and tested the support of the last zone here. See how this is right in line with, so that's what it did here when it hit all-time highs. So I see it coming back down here, and to this day, right now, it's testing support before we start going back up. Boom. So a real good entry point for oil, for gold, I see is coming sooner than later, because if you look at these lines here, these candle wicks, it's support zone, it's testing. So you can anticipate this candle to come back down up a little bit more, up to here, even come back down again before shooting upward. But the sentiment is gold on its way up. And like I showed you, we hit earlier at wartime with Israel was $2,160 a barrel. What that did was open that range up that's never been touched before. Very important. Created a new range. So, see this? Gold declines ahead of Pact 30. This is what I'm talking about. We hit that high, come down to retest, which I just showed you, and gold declined because we had those green numbers on the GDP meeting that was good for the dollar. So gold is going down right now to retest more pocket before blasting off.